Alright, I need everyone to stop for a second. I am completely serious. Before you scroll past this video, before you click on something else, before you tell yourself that you will watch this later and then never actually come back to it, I need you to give me just a few minutes of your time, because what happened in Las Vegas during BTS World Tour Outsang is something that I have been sitting with for days now and I still cannot fully process it. And I have watched a lot of concerts. I have followed a lot of artists. I have spent more hours than I can count studying performances and vocal technique and what separates genuinely great live singers from the rest of the industry. And what Jungkook did in Las Vegas during the Outsang tour has genuinely shaken something loose in my understanding of what is possible from a human voice in a live performance context. So settle in, because we are going to talk about all of it. Every detail. Every ad-lib. Every moment that made Las Vegas audiences feel like they were witnessing something they were not supposed to be allowed to hear. Let us start with something that I think is important to establish before we get into the specifics of what happened in Las Vegas, which is the general context of live vocal performance in the music industry today. Because I think a lot of people, even dedicated music fans, even people who attend concerts regularly, have somewhat lowered their expectations when it comes to what live singing actually sounds like compared to recorded music. And that lowering of expectations is completely understandable given the landscape of modern pop music, where the tools available for vocal enhancement in the studio are so sophisticated and so widely used that the gap between what an artist sounds like on record and what they sound like standing on a stage with a microphone has become, for many performers, significant. Not all performers, and not dramatically for the best of them, but the gap exists in the industry in a way that is widely acknowledged even if it is not always discussed openly. Backing tracks, pitch correction in real time, heavily processed in-ear monitors that help performers stay on key, all of these tools are part of the modern concert experience for a large number of artists at every level of the industry. And audiences have come to accept this as the normal cost of the spectacle they are being offered. The show looks incredible and the vocals sound acceptable and everyone goes home having had a good time. That is the baseline expectation that most concertgoers carry with them into a venue. Jungkook has spent his entire career operating at a completely different baseline. And Las Vegas during Outsang just gave us the most dramatic evidence of that fact that we have ever had. Let us go back to the beginning for people who might be newer to following Jungkook's vocal journey, because understanding where he is now requires understanding where he started and how he got here. Jungkook joined Big Hit Entertainment as a trainee when he was still a child, essentially, chosen from an audition process that identified in him a raw talent that the company believed was worth developing. And in the years between that audition and BTS's debut, and in all the years since, Jungkook has been one of the most relentlessly self-improving artists in the entire industry. The stories about his work ethic are legendary within the BTS universe. The hours in the practice room. The technical focus he applies to every element of his craft, whether that is dance or vocal technique or performance expression or any of the dozen other dimensions of his artistry that he has methodically worked to develop over the course of his career. Jungkook is not someone who rests on natural talent, and his natural talent is already extraordinary. He is someone who takes extraordinary natural talent and then works on it with a focus and a discipline that most people who have not witnessed it from close proximity find genuinely difficult to believe. And the result of that combination, of extraordinary natural talent plus relentless technical development plus over a decade of live performance experience, is what Las Vegas received during BTS World Tour Outsang. A vocalist operating at what might genuinely be the absolute peak of his powers. A live performer who has reached a point in his artistic development where the stage does not diminish what the studio captured but actually exceeds it. And that is the thing that is so genuinely rare, so genuinely remarkable, so genuinely worth spending an entire video talking about, because performers who sound better live than on record are not common. They exist, but they are not common. And among artists operating at the scale and visibility that Jungkook operates at, among artists who have the resources and the industry support to produce studio recordings of the highest possible quality, the bar for what the live performance needs to clear is set extremely high. And Jungkook cleared it in Las Vegas. He did not just clear it. He cleared it and kept going. The specific moments from Las Vegas that have been circulating in ARMY spaces and increasingly in broader music discussion communities are centered primarily on the ad-libs. And I want to spend some time on this because I think ad-libs are one of the most misunderstood elements of vocal performance for people who have not studied music deeply. An ad-lib is not just improvisation in the casual sense. A truly great ad-lib from a great vocalist is a combination of technical precision and emotional spontaneity that happens in real time, in front of an audience, without the safety net of multiple takes and post-production refinement. It requires the singer to have such complete command of their instrument that they can venture beyond the written melody, beyond the rehearsed performance, into territory that is genuinely in the moment, and do so with a pitch accuracy and an emotional resonance that makes what they are creating feel inevitable rather than accidental. The greatest ad-libs in music history feel like they were always supposed to be there. They feel like the song was always building toward that moment even though nobody, including sometimes the singer, knew it was coming. Jungkook's ad-libs in Las Vegas had that quality. The ones that have been most widely shared, the moments that made audiences in Allegiant Stadium audibly react in real time, were not ad-libs that sounded like a singer going off script and hoping for the best. They were ad-libs that sounded like a singer discovering in the moment something that the recorded version of the song had been pointing toward without quite reaching. And that distinction matters enormously. Because what it says about Jungkook as a vocalist is that he is not just technically proficient at improvisation. He is emotionally and artistically connected to the songs he performs at a level deep enough that his live interpretations can genuinely reveal dimensions of those songs that the studio versions did not fully access. That is an extraordinary thing for any vocalist. For a vocalist performing in front of tens of thousands of people, on a major world tour stage, after a full show's worth of physical and vocal exertion, it is almost incomprehensible. The phrase that has been used repeatedly in discussions of Jungkook's Las Vegas performances is that his live vocal is better than the studio version. And I want to be precise about what this means because I think it can be misunderstood. It does not mean that the studio recordings are bad. BTS's studio recordings, and Jungkook's solo recordings in particular, are produced to an extremely high standard, with vocal performances that any singer in the industry would be proud of. What it means is that the live versions, the versions that exist only in the memories of the people who were there and in the fan-recorded footage that has been shared online, contain something that the studio versions do not. They contain the presence of Jungkook in the room, responding to the audience, responding to the energy of the space, responding to his own emotional state in that specific moment, and producing something that carries a kind of aliveness and immediacy and emotional weight that even the best studio recording cannot fully replicate. The studio version captures what Jungkook can do when every condition is optimized. The Las Vegas live version captures what Jungkook does when everything is real. And the ad-libs are the most visible expression of this, but they are not the only one. The other thing that has been widely discussed in the coverage of Jungkook's Las Vegas performances is the overall vocal consistency across all 4 days of the run. Because the Las Vegas Arirang dates were not a one-night event. They were a multi-day residency at Allegiant Stadium, one of the largest venues on the entire tour, and Jungkook delivered the same extraordinary vocal quality across all 4 of those nights. Night after night. Show after show. In a stadium that presents significant acoustic challenges for any vocalist. After the physical demands of a full BTS World Tour setlist that requires not just singing but dancing and performing at an athletic level simultaneously. The vocal consistency across those 4 nights is itself a remarkable achievement that speaks to the level of physical and technical preparation that Jungkook brought to Las Vegas. Let us talk about what goes into sustaining that kind of vocal quality across multiple consecutive show nights, because I think it is easy to take for granted if you are not thinking about the mechanics of it. A professional vocalist performing at high intensity uses their voice as a physical instrument in a way that creates real wear and real fatigue. The vocal cords are muscles, essentially, and like any muscles they require recovery time after intense use. Singing at the level Jungkook sings, with the power and the range and the technical demands of a BTS World Tour setlist, puts real stress on those muscles. Managing that stress across multiple consecutive nights requires disciplined vocal hygiene, careful management of speaking and non-performance vocal use between shows, appropriate hydration and rest, and a vocal technique sophisticated enough to deliver full power and full presence while minimizing the physical wear that less refined technique would produce. Jungkook clearly has all of these things in place, and the 4-night Las Vegas run gave us a chance to observe the results of that preparation in a way that a single night show cannot. The promotional context for the Arirang era has also been relevant here, and the person who commented on the level of promotion that Jungkook has been doing for this album era made a genuinely insightful point. The Arirang era has been one of the most heavily promoted album eras in recent BTS history, with Jungkook specifically generating enormous attention through the live vocal video from Netflix's Swim promotion, the viral trend around Biker Hooligan, the FYA choreography that took over social media, and the ad-libs on Into the Sun that had music commentators genuinely reacting with something approaching disbelief. All of that promotion, all of those individual viral moments, built to a cumulative picture of Jungkook in 2026 as a vocalist and performer operating at a level that is genuinely difficult to compare to anyone else working in popular music right now. And then Las Vegas arrived and confirmed everything that the promotion had been suggesting. The live show delivered on every promise that the promotional content had made and then added things that the promotional content had not even hinted at. I want to talk about the Netflix live vocal swim moment specifically because it was one of the most discussed individual Jungkook vocal moments in recent memory, and it established a standard against which the Las Vegas performances were inevitably going to be measured. The live vocal swim video from Netflix showed Jungkook delivering a stripped-back, acoustically honest vocal performance that had no place to hide, no production to lean on, no choreography to serve as context. Just the voice. And what the voice revealed in that context was a vocalist who has developed a technical and emotional sophistication that places him in a genuinely elite category. The control. The breath management. The ability to find emotional depth in a quiet moment that other vocalists struggle to access even with full production support. All of it was there. And the internet reacted accordingly. Las Vegas took everything that the Netflix moment revealed and put it back in the full production, full stadium, full choreography context of a major world tour show. And the result was something that proved a point that the most attentive Jungkook followers have been making for years, which is that the studio and the stage are not trade-offs for him. He does not give you studio quality in the recording and then an approximation of that quality live. He gives you studio quality in the recording and then something that exceeds it on the stage, because the stage adds dimensions of presence and immediacy and emotional authenticity that even the most sophisticated studio production cannot fully capture. The comment that there is no K-pop singer who touches Jungkook's level is one that will generate debate, and that debate is fine and even healthy, because the K-pop industry has produced an extraordinary range of incredible vocalists, and discussing their relative merits is one of the things that keeps the fan conversation interesting and alive. But I want to engage with that comment seriously rather than dismissively, because I think it is pointing at something real even if the absolute framing of it might be challenged. What is unquestionably true is that Jungkook occupies a very particular and very rare position in the K-pop vocal landscape, which is that of a singer who combines the technical range and precision of a classical influenced trained vocalist with the emotional spontaneity and stage presence of a great live performer and the athleticism of a professional dancer who sings. That combination is genuinely unusual. Most vocalists who have the technical range and precision do so because they have focused their development on technique at some cost to the spontaneous live quality. Most performers who have the stage presence and the live emotional quality are working within a more limited technical range. Most athletes who move the way Jungkook moves on stage are not also singing at the level Jungkook sings. The combination of all three in one person, at the level at which Jungkook possesses all three, is what makes direct comparison difficult. There are individual vocalists who exceed him in specific technical dimensions. There are individual performers who match or exceed his stage presence in specific moments. But the complete package, the totality of what Jungkook is capable of doing simultaneously on a live stage, is genuinely without direct parallel in the K-pop world right now, and possibly in the broader popular music world as well. Las Vegas was the stage on which that totality was most recently and most dramatically on display. 4 nights. Allegiant Stadium. BTS World Tour Arirang. A vocalist who did not need autotune and proved it emphatically. Ad-libs that found things in the songs that the studio versions had not known were there. A live vocal quality that exceeded the recorded versions not by accident or by the low bar of simply being acceptable, but by design, by the full deployment of everything that Jungkook has spent his entire career developing. The Golden Magne, more than 10 years into a career that has only gotten better with time, delivering what may be the most extraordinary live vocal performances of his professional life. And I want to close by talking about what this moment means for the larger narrative of Jungkook's artistic journey, because I think it deserves to be understood in that context. When Jungkook was first introduced to the world as the youngest member of BTS, the Golden Magne, the one everyone pointed to as the member with the most natural all-around talent, there was both an enormous amount of hope attached to that label and an enormous amount of pressure. Being called the most talented from a young age is a gift and a burden simultaneously. It sets expectations that can feel impossible to live up to as the years pass and the career develops and the moments that were supposed to define greatness either arrive or do not. Some artists who are called golden at a young age find their ceiling earlier than anyone expected. Some find that the talent that seems so limitless in youth does not develop as hoped when tested by the full demands of professional performance at the highest level. Jungkook found something different. Jungkook found that the ceiling everyone assumed he had did not exist in the place anyone had mapped it. Show after show, year after year, album after album, tour stop after tour stop, he has kept going up. The talent that made him the Golden Magne has been developed and refined and pushed and challenged until it has become something that the word talent no longer quite captures. What Jungkook has in Las Vegas during BTS World Tour Outsang is not just talent. It is mastery. Hard-won, deeply developed, endlessly refined mastery of a craft that he has been working on since before most of the people in that Allegiant Stadium audience were old enough to attend a concert on their own. And the ad-libs that broke the internet and the live vocals that exceeded the studio versions and the four-night consistency that proved it was not a fluke are all expressions of that mastery. All evidence of a decade and more of work paying off in the most public and the most beautiful way possible. Las Vegas got the best version of Jungkook. And what is genuinely thrilling, what is genuinely exciting for every person who has been following his career, is that based on everything we have seen from him in this Outsang era, based on the trajectory of his development and the evident appetite he still has for growth, Las Vegas may not be the ceiling. The best version of Jungkook that Las Vegas received may not be the best version that exists. It may simply be the best version that has been revealed so far. And if that is true, if there is still more coming from Jungkook as a vocalist and a performer and an artist, then the rest of the music world has a great deal more to prepare itself for. Because if Las Vegas was not the peak, then wherever the peak actually is, the journey to get there is going to produce music and performances and moments that none of us have the language for yet. And I genuinely cannot wait. Thank you so much for watching this all the way through. It means more than I can say that you are here and that you care about this level of conversation about Jungkook's artistry. Please hit the like button if this video gave you something to think about, drop a comment below telling me your favorite Jungkook vocal moment from the Outsang era because I read every single one and I want to know, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. And as always, purple you all. Purple heart.